Expect the best used car deals guaranteed. Visit arnoldclark.com.
Welcome to Peter and Roughie's Football Show, sponsored by Arnold Clark. It's Friday the 21st of August. Delighted to have your company. Don't forget, like, share and follow on our Facebook. And if you've got a chance, hit the red button on YouTube and you can subscribe to our channel. It's absolutely free. Delighted to say that Alan Rough, Charlie Adam and Tam McManus are here with me to look over the weekend's football. We always like to try and start on a positive note, looking forward to getting fans in at some point in the future. But we'll quickly look back on a game that took Roughie. It would have got football stopped. If I was a Sky executive, I'd be in a darkened room right now, once again, scalping my head off a wall, because that was woeful, even though Aberdeen get a win. Yeah,
it was turgid. Obviously, not a lot to talk about, not a lot of goalmouth instant, not any excitement. It just shows you, I think if we'd had kind of fans, it might have made it a wee bit better, a wee bit of atmosphere, but without the fans, if it's a poor game, it just makes it really bad. It's bad to watch as well. Not doing the game any good at all. So let's hope trials that are coming up are successful and we can maybe even get somebody in there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, let's not forget, I'm trying to put a bit of balance on this. Let's not forget when, Charlie, when the English Premier League came back out of lockdown, there was a lot of criticism over that first 3 or 4 games, that it was absolutely dire. It took the players a wee bit of up to speed on things.
It definitely does. Listen, it's the crowd actually makes the intensity of the match. But the players have known for a long time that these games are going to be behind closed doors, and you have to try and find the intensity to the game. It's not just the intensity, the quality was poor. That's the big thing as well. Do you know what I mean? You couldn't string some passes together, and you're talking about an Aberdeen team who are going to try and challenge third place. St Johnstone will be mid-table or just below that, but and I've been really disappointed in the Scottish football in the last since that season. Really, the quality's not really been there from any of the other teams, and hopefully it does pick up in the next few weeks. And obviously, we discussed it the other day on the show. The crowds coming back will be great.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll just get I'll get Charlie to check out the connection on his headphones here. Just getting a wee bit of interference on it. But nevertheless, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, that's the key issue here, Tam. We could go on and on about the criticism of Scottish football in general, but I still think, take Hearts out of the equation. This is all about a situation where I've interviewed 2 managers in the last couple of weeks who've said to me, it's just about staying in the league for us. That's Motherwell, who finished 3rd. That's Alec Dyer and a Kilmarnock side who were impressive last season. The 2 in the Old Firm. That can't be right. That football that Charlie's been talking about the last 3 games, terrible.
Yeah, the standards have been poor, Peter. Even the game before that. The games have been really poor, and I think it's just players getting up to speed. Hopefully we get an improvement in the quality, because the game last night was shocking. It was 2 teams that were setting out to not lose a game rather than going to win the game, and if you've got 2 teams who don't want to lose, then it's not going to be a very good spectacle. Obviously if it was 14 teams, maybe there's a little bit more leeway, but teams are just scared of getting, losing points just now, getting stuck at the bottom of the league, and it's just been really, really poor, and we're hoping for Celtic Dundee United tomorrow, and then I think it's Hibs St Johnstone on Sunday. We're looking for 2 better games, Peter, because it's not a very accurate description of the standard of the game up here. We're better than we were shown in the Sky games, but we're open to criticism, and we're rightly getting it just now because the games have been terrible.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure Derek McInnes will not worry about that because of the week he's had, but nevertheless, you can only actually give your opinion on what you're watching, and it's dire at the moment. John Lynn says, good day from Melbourne. Great to have you with us, John. Pat Burns, Kenny Whitson as well, Marion Christie, Willie Anderson, hello from Somerset, up the Lichties is what he says. Well, we're delighted because that's an indication of the different people we have who support different teams and are passionate about their football. So from St Johnstone against Aberdeen, which got a vital 3 points for the Dons. Let's look at what we've got to look forward to over the weekend, and there are a lot of good talking points. We'll hear from Stephen Gerrard, we will hear from Neil Lennon and Stephen Robinson as well, and we will also hear from Mickey Mellon. It's Motherwell against Hamilton, that Lanarkshire derby. Rangers Kilmarnock, St Mirren, Ross County. Dundee United against Celtic, the Saturday evening kickoff. And then on Sunday, Aberdeen against Livingston and St Johnstone against Hibernian. We are hoping for better fare than that. Anyway, more to the point, some of the news items that are going. Stephen Gerrard's been having a chat today, obviously discussing the speculation linking Ryan Kent with a move to Leeds, £10 million bid, £8.5 million with add-ons, but the manager is having none of it.
The way off with the opening bid is the truth and the reality, and he's a player, is not for sale. We don't want to lose Ryan. He's a big part of what we've been trying to build here. We want him to stay here for many, many years, but you know and I know that Premiership teams hold a lot of power, and that's the reality. That's the way it is. We have to accept that. But you know, the message to Leeds is the opening bid's nowhere near the valuation, and the player doesn't really have much we don't want to sell.
Listen, 10 million, Tam, is one thing, but the indication there that Stephen Gerrard is well aware that more money could come in, and then suddenly the board starts to say, listen, 15 million, thank you very much. See you later, Ryan.
Yeah, I think the key was opening bid there. And Stephen Gerrard said opening bid. I think he's aware that there's going to be further bids coming in for more money. And, you know, I think it's a compliment for Rangers. You know, teams are wanting their players now. You know, for the last 3 or 4 years, nobody's wanted to sign any Rangers players. You know, the transfer, you know, the way they've went about things is under Mark Warburton in particular. You know, they were signing guys at 30, 35-year-old and had no sell-on value. Now they're getting younger guys in the door. Alfredo Morelos, big bids in for him. Now Ryan Kent, you know, so I think it's a sign that Rangers are doing well. They're doing things better in the transfer market and teams are wanting their players. So, you know, we've got to take it as a compliment. You know, you're doing well. Teams want your players. If you're not doing well, nobody wants your players. So, yeah, there'll be further bids coming in. But Rangers, you know, they can take a bit of credit for their transfer policy now that their team's looking at their players.
Yeah, you mentioned that as well, Charlie, on Wednesday, the fact that they've now got a strategy in place to try and follow a blueprint, which, you know, when you look back at some of the money that's been brought in at Celtic, it's just trying to get players that you know English clubs will want to buy because they've had 2 or 3 years in Scotland and they're about 25, 26 years of age by that point.
There's a different market in Scotland now, the value of the player and what you can get. You know, if you want to buy a player from the English Championship, you're talking 20 million straight away. And that's a lad that's never probably played at a big club. If you look at Leeds going for Ryan Kent, he's got that experience of being at Rangers, 50,000 every week. Can he go and handle that playing in front of the Leeds fans? Yes, he would be able to, but you know, it will take a big bid to get Ryan Kent to Leeds. I think it has to start with, you know, 150 million plus before they even consider start looking at other bids. So it's a waiting game. It's like Tam said, it should be a satisfying thing for the recruitment team to say that we're starting to produce the right players, we're trying to bring the right players in that everybody else wants, and we'll see how strong the Rangers board are come the end of the window.
Yeah, Roughie, is it? I'm going to let Charlie quickly nick away to get himself another set of headphones because I know he's got a few. Is it detrimental to their league title bid if they let the likes of Ryan Kent go?
Yeah, I think it is. There's no doubt about that. You know, I think that the fans have really bought into, you know, what he brings to the team. We'll saw it in wee bits, you know, that he can turn games and he can win games. I think there's still more to come for him, and I think it's the same over at Celtic. I know if Edward a really bid comes in for him, Celtic would have to sit down and have a look at it. But I really think that at this stage, Rangers and Celtic have to look at their fans. There would have to be some PR to dig them out of a hole if they were to sell either one of them. I know the money's a big thing and it's difficult to turn down, but in light of what this season means to both clubs, I think they really have to bat anything out the road because these two boys can be sold next year. There's too much at stake in this one. As far as the fans are concerned, there's too much at stake, and that's what they're tough to deal with.
Yeah, it's funny you saying that, Roughie, but Neil Thompson said something here, which again, I'm in agreement with Neil on this. He says, what's he done to warrant doubling what Rangers paid for him? And I'm in that camp. I think if they sold him and got upwards of £10 million, whatever the figure is that the board and Stephen Gerrard eventually agree to. Granted, you have to then go and buy somebody that you hope can fit in and hit the ground running. But his stats don't back up a guy who grabs the game, Tam, changes the game, wins the game, scores crucial goals in big games. That's not Ryan Kent at the moment. And I'm giving you the facts on this boy.
Yep, I think it's on the back of 2 goals against Celtic, to be honest with you, Peter. You know, he's put in a couple of really good performances against Celtic. He scored two goals, I think, at Parkhead. A couple of good performances in Europe, but I tend to agree. You know, if you're looking for somebody you're going to pay the $8 million for and you're wanting 15, you're wanting him with a couple of great seasons. I don't think he has. You know, his statistics don't back that up either in terms of goals and assists. He's not won anything. He's not won anything with Rangers. So I would tend to agree with you. I think 12 million, 13 million pound would be great, because he's done okay, but he's not set the hell on fire.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, as far as Stephen Gerrard is concerned, we'll not be talking about Ryan Kent or any moves. This weekend is all about concentrating on Kilmarnock and making sure there are no slip-ups. Of course, I'm looking at the team news. Balogun, Defoe, Aribo still out. McGregor could come back, although I have to say John McLaughlin's done a good job in there. And they're against a Killie side that the Rangers manager thinks they're in a false position.
I think Kilmarnock are a team we have respect for sure. You know, we've had some real good challenges against them in the past. We know they're very well drilled in the way they set up. In terms of their season so far, I think obviously they were it probably was a red card, but I think that was the reason why they lost the game against St Johnstone, but that was probably a game they would have won. And then they obviously take points off Celtic. So if you analyse it properly, they've probably had a stronger start than actually the points total suggests. So we know it's going to be a tough game. We know they'll be organised and a tough challenge to break down. But it's been nice to have a full week to really focus on certain things.
Yeah. Okay. He knows it's going to be a tough game. I'm probably going to maybe get Charlie just to take those earphones out, because we'll still be able to hear you, Charlie, if you take them out, because there's a wee bit of feedback on them, which I think that's what happens when you buy Fisher Price earphones, to be honest with you.
Fake iPad?
Yeah, absolutely.
Blackpool Prom.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, the ones with the clutch and the hand going down for a fiver.
Yeah.
I was going to say to you, Charlie, I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm looking at the boy Aribo, and I think he's at a good start early on. He looks as if he's got something about him. If he could keep developing and maybe Stephen Gerrard work on him, he could be a creator for them, as well as he's going to work on Hadji as well.
He's a ball traveller. You know, he can carry the ball up the pitch for Rangers and get them into that position. I think they missed that against Livingston the other day, where everything was side to side, try to penetrate. Sometimes in that situation, you need somebody just to go 1v1 in midfield and, you know, play around the corner into Morelos and bounce again. So he's a different type of midfielder to what they have, and you know, he has been a big miss for them. But you know, when he comes back from injury, he'll be a key player for them. But no, he's a good player. He started the season well. Speaking to the manager the other week up at Aberdeen, he said he's come back for pre-season flying, and unfortunately the injury's come at a bad time for him.
Yeah, I'm just looking there. Ross Devine says, I think Charlie was using Castor earphones, and that gives you an indication of the wit on this programme. But there's a serious element to it, which brings me to the point, and I'm not going to beat about the bush on this one, Tam. Off the field of play, I think the Rangers fans are being shortchanged at the moment. There is a story which I'm amazed that there hasn't been a lot of coverage in the press. For what reason, I do not know. But the Castor deal at the moment, the quality of what they're producing for Rangers fans is way below what the Rangers fans expect. I think there's a storm brewing and an undercurrent at the moment on Rangers fans who've absolutely piled in to buy this gear, and they're not getting what they're looking for. And the other aspect of it, which I think, and I feel sorry for the Rangers fans on this one, is I think somewhere along the line they're being hoodwinked, because Mike Ashley's still involved there. with that deal. And I think somewhere along the line, Tam, some of the Rangers fans that don't suffer the nonsense need to start asking questions.
Yeah, I think they've all started asking questions. There's already a lot of questions on social media. You know, I've seen that a Rangers supporter putting 2 strips up. One was, I think, made in Turkey and one was made in China, and totally different material, totally different quality. So, listen, if you're paying premium, and Castore, listen, it's not cheap. You know, it's £50-60 for a top. And if you're not getting genuine good quality for that, then you're right to ask questions. And the Rangers fans will do that. That was always my fear with Castore was, could they kind of get the kind of same numbers that the Rangers fans were looking for? You know, Rangers fans, you know, are buying their strips in hundreds of thousands. Could they keep up with that demand? And I just don't think they've kept up with the demand, Peter, you know, in terms of the quality. And now they're just firing anything out, I think, to Rangers supporters. And they're not going to have it when you're paying that kind of money. So questions will be asked. I know Rangers got a lot of money from the deal, but, you know, I think the Rangers supporters are getting shortchanged at the minute. And they've every right to be asking questions of Rangers.
Yeah, I'll tell you, when the accounts come out, though, Charlie, that's when you actually look and you say to yourself, somebody at an AGM will undoubtedly stand up there and say to this board, you know, are you happy with the quality that's been delivered out there? Are you aware that the demand has not been met? And how much are we getting as part of this deal? I think that's the most important factor for me in this. You know, where is the money being distributed, and are Rangers getting a 10 times better deal than they were under Mike Ashley before, who's been like a noose round Rangers' neck?
He always seems to be hovering in the background. I don't know the ins and outs of the deal. I'm glad that I never actually wore my Castore top that I was going to actually wear for this today. So I'm glad I bypassed that one. But no, I think it'll be frustrating for everybody inside the football club when you think that you're going in a new direction, a new era produces, and you know, a new sponsorship. The lads probably never realised how big a club it was. They understood that they might get 20, 30,000 shirt sales, but with Rangers, no chance. You know, you're talking hundreds of thousands, and it's trying to keep that product up to the standards that the Rangers fans want. I looked on it there the other day because I was looking to get my little man a kit. It's expensive even for the children's kits, you know, and it's like you say, the Rangers fans won't take any nonsense. They'll be looking for answers. And sometimes the board will need to come out and make a statement and understand a bit. Like you say, Mike Ashley just keeps hovering around a club like Rangers again, and it's important that somebody from the football club comes out and makes a stance and say he's either involved or he's not.
Yeah. Roughie, you and I both thought that Charlie was wearing a Castore top today, but the letters just fell off. But it doesn't seem to be.
Well, tell you what, it couldn't be any worse than the 2 shirts that Tam Cowan put on the other day, used to on the internet. They were horrendous.
Absolutely. Tam put that photograph up with a Hawaiian shirt, Roughie. They were absolute howitzers. But nevertheless, we decided to get into the spirit of things. Why did we wear Hawaiian shirts, Roughie? What was the reason that day?
It was Tam Cowan. It was Tam Cowan who turned up on a Thursday with his favourite Hawaiian shirt, and we all decided that we'd join in just for a laugh.
Yeah, well, it didn't last long. To be perfectly honest with you, I think there's big questions. Rangers fans out there, what do you make of it? The deal itself, I cannot believe there's not been as much coverage in the press, but maybe we're living in an era where people are frightened to write things nowadays. But it's certainly something I think Rangers fans will be wanting to know. Is the quality going to improve? What about refunds? What about the money? How much of it is going to the club to try and give Steven Gerrard as much money as he possibly can to strengthen the side and to try and stop 10 in a row, because that's the be-all and end-all in this one. So it's Rangers against Kilmarnock at the weekend. I'm going to go for Rangers to win this one 2-1. Tam, what are you going for?
Oh, I'm going to go for 3-1, Peter.
Yeah.
I'm going to go for 3-1. I think Rangers have got plenty of firepower now, plenty of strength and depth up front. I think they'll score 3. I think Kilmarnock will score 3-1.
Yep. Charlie?
3-0. I think Rangers keep clean sheet. I don't think Kilmarnock have got enough in that front area to go and hurt Rangers. They don't have that number 9 that will probably score them a goal. So I'll go 3-0. Comfortable win.
Roughie.
Looking forward to the weekend with United Celtic.
Yeah, I'm going to go 2-0 Rangers. I still think Killie defence are a wee bit vulnerable. I think it will be, again, possession-wise, I think the Celtic and Rangers, if you look at the games, 72% possession, 80% possession. I think it'll be the same, and I think Rangers will win 2-0.
Yeah,
terrific stat from Roughie.
Oh, well, it's just honestly, Tam,
72%.
I was just about.
He's
to
been on the Opta
apologise.
website.
I was about to apologise to the viewers because any time Roughie goes for stats, it means the game's a bogey because he is to stats what you and I are to Bali. So that's just not happening. So people are now going up and going 72%. Let's check that stat. Anyway, Dundee United against Celtic is a match certainly we're looking forward to. Saturday evening for that one. There's a wee hint that Celtic obviously are hoping to try and get fans back in limited numbers, of course, for the match coming up against Motherwell, because First Minister Nicola Sturgeon has mentioned that possibly before September 14th, as well as the rugby test, there might be a football test in this. Neil Lennon says it would be great to have the fans back in.
That'd be fantastic. The club have collaborating with the government to try and make this happen. And later on down the line, open the gates even more so would be brilliant. It's great having football back, but there's obviously that element that's missing, and it's a huge element in the game that we all want back, and that's the support.
Yeah, good. Even though it was 1,000, my only fear on this, Charlie, and again, it's something we've all been talking about, is my only fear is even 1,000 people, can you control them coming up to the ground? Can you then control them not to sing in the areas or cheer? Because this is the big dilemma for us. I mean, you're trying to get as much information as possible and hope that it's accurate, that eliminates as much as is humanly possible any risk of anybody contracting COVID in a ground.
Listen, it's a stepping stone. It's we're a week further down the line, and at least the First Minister, she's making progress in that. There's something there that she's done. I think she's done a good job, and what she's done with football and also with lockdowns and things like that. So she's forward thinking, and hopefully it does come. But it's how the way they set it out, how the fans are distributed, who and how the clubs are going to get them into the stadium. It's going to be how we see it. But no, I'm looking forward to seeing how it goes, and we need to start progressing forward, and hopefully, that Motherwell game would be a good one.
Yeah, getting fans back in, even though it's limited numbers, is fine. Give us your thoughts on that. How many do you think would be acceptable after 1,000 fans if it all goes according to plan? And of course, Dundee United against Celtic coming up. There's also speculation that there could be players coming and going. Shane Duffy, this ongoing saga where Shane Duffy teases with a Twitter message, Tam. It's all becoming a bit tedious. I mean, he's not exactly Carlos Puyol, but he's teasing it at the moment. And then Neil Lennon's mentioned there, as far as the other players are concerned, Griffiths, a couple of weeks away. This is what he had to say on Tom Rogic.
Well, I mean, these things happen if it's best for both parties. So at the minute, all it is a club have expressed an interest, and no further inquiries have been made since then. So hopefully we'll get something resolved one way or the other. I like Tom Rogic. I think he's a fantastic player. I'd like to have him around, but we'll see how that pans out. Yeah,
I don't think he'll have a telling impact on the title race. Do you, Tam?
No, I don't think Neil Lennon was desperate to keep him there, did you? The way he was speaking, I think he'd be quite happy to shift him on and get that money to spend on maybe a Shane Duffy. And I think Shane Duffy would be a tremendous signing for Celtic. Celtic need a right hard, a kind of animal at the back. Just go and head it and kick it and tackle and let Julian pick up the scraps and play out for the back. I think Shane Duffy is tailor-made for Celtic. I think they're needing a commanding centre-half. They're really missing it. And if it's a £2 million loan fee, pay him it. Pay him 30 grand a week, 40 grand a week for a year. If you're Celtic fans want him to do that, they want him in. So go and get him. Because I think he's tailor-made for Celtic.
Why would you waste that money? It's £2 million loan fee. Supposedly that's 50 grand a week. So you're talking there's 50 grand a week, so another £2.5 million, £4.5 million for one season. That is massive outlay for Celtic. A huge outlay that they don't really want to afford. COVID, things like that, maybe chasing the Champions League. I just don't think it would happen. I don't think he would like it to go Celtic. I know that West Ham will look like they want to take him as well. So if it's a toss-up between West Ham and Celtic, I think financially, West Ham would take him. But I don't see why Celtic would go and spend £4.5 million on a loan player. It doesn't add up, really.
To be perfectly honest with you, Charlie, on a normal season, I would suggest to you, I say, yeah, absolutely, 100%.
Yeah.
But I think the clubs are actually getting to the point where there's no logic to anything now. There's been no logic for the last 5 months in Scottish football, Charlie. That's why I think they'll do mad things, because the only show in town for the two of them is to go tit for tat with each other to see where the one-upmanship is. That's why I think Celtic would look at this and say, well, if they can punt Rogic for $4 million, they'll maybe go and get Turnbull, they'll maybe pay the loan money for Duffy.
I could understand that. And Dermot has got a magic pocket at some point in the window, isn't he? He likes to produce one that he'll spend big money on. And, listen, I would be surprised to see Celtic do it. But, like you say, if you want to go and stamp your authority and you're going to get an Irish centre-half, a Celtic fan, knows the club, then, yeah, it's a risk. But, if they want to spend that money, fair play to them.
Yeah, another thing, I don't know if you noticed it, Charlie, Roughie probably picked up on it as well, but if you go to Dundee and somebody's actually want to fight with you, they keep it calm. Roughie, I've been in a few Dundee nightclubs. If there's going to be a fight, the guy keeps it calm, and then, he does it. He kicks off, and that's it. If you're an East Kilbride, I don't know if did you see Tam's face there when he was talking about Shane Duffy and how you needed a hard player, and his face all scrunched up. My mate used to tell me, never worry about the guy who gets angry and tells you he's going to batter you. Worry about the guy who just walks up and batters you. And look at Tam's face there when he wants a hard man. It's unbelievable. Mickey Mellon, I'll tell you, he's been a breath of fresh air. I know you know him well, but boy, I've been listening to him in press conferences, whether it's pre-match or post-match, and he's just been absolutely delighted to be here. He was talking, first of all, quite a number of the press were saying, are you in jeopardy of losing some players? One in particular happens to be Lawrence Shanklin. This is what the Dundee United manager had to say on that.
You can see my face, so you can see my eyes, and I'm not lying. We have had no contact. Nor as the sporting director, nor have I. And that's been the way it has been, certainly ever since I've been at the football club.
Well, I like him. Early indications that he's bringing something fresh. I hope he, builds Dundee United and keeps him in the league, Charlie. But the only thing I didn't like, Roughie, I read the headline on it. He was a Celtic fan. Who cares? Who honestly cares if somebody was a Celtic fan when they were a boy, Roughie? Is that the way we're going in life? That somebody has to be tagged to be a Celtic fan and suddenly he's Dundee United manager and it compromises or could compromise his attitude to a game? I think that's just nonsense.
Yeah, I would agree with you 100%. I would like to think that we've moved on from that kind of scenario. He's been down south most of his career and he's come up here. So you're talking about him maybe being a Celtic fan when he was like 15 or 20 or something like that. But this shouldn't have anything to do. He's now the manager at Dundee United, and he'll begin out doing his utmost to beat Celtic tomorrow, because you can see now he's bought into the club, he's bought into the young players that are there, and he wants success. It's the first time he's got the chance to make a right success of being a manager, and I don't think it even be brought up at all who he used to support. As far as he's concerned, he's devoted to Dundee United.
Yeah, I think he's bringing a freshness to it all at the moment. Charlie, you know him well.
Yeah, I know him well. I know he's delighted there. He's moved his whole family up there, which was a big decision. His young lad's just signed a 3-year contract at Burnley, and his daughter and his wife have, just moved up to St Andrews, where he's going to be living. So he's went there with, the whole gang and thought this is for him. And I liked his response about it, is that Dundee United is my club. I'm here. He wants to do the best he can for Dundee United. The whole Celtic Rangers thing it's nonsense. it's basically what it is to try and get a headline, sell a few papers, and we're sat here talking about it at 4:30 on a Friday afternoon. So that's what it is. His most interest will be is make sure that Dundee United are doing well. That's his employee, and to go and beat Celtic on his own patch would be brilliant for his CV.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, you just mentioned that he's moved the whole family up to St Andrews, Tam, which is great because that gives Mickey a chance when he's going to relax out there at St Andrews. He gets to pay £6 a pint. So it's a real good move for him to settle in that area, isn't it?
nice place, St Andrews. Deep pockets,
lovely. I was just about to say to you, that's not a cheap night out, is it? St Andrews. It's absolutely.
That's why he's moved the family up, so he doesn't need to go out for a pint.
Possibly, Charlie. It's such a good place, Roughie. Good place to have a wee weekend away. St Andrews, magic.
Oh, it's brilliant, and I do believe if you're a resident St Andrews, you just pay £60 and you can play the old course. You can play any of the golf courses up there, which is an added bonus if he's a golfer.
Yeah, Charlie, would you pick up the phone to him and say, "Look, Mickey, we've been pals for a long time. £60, I'll be up. We Tuesday out in one of the golf courses. Kings Barnes is good."
I already have my contacts at St Andrews, so we're already sorted if you ever need a game of golf.
Yes. There you are. Oh, hey, look at Ruffy's face.
Look at Belfry McManus.
Belfry McManus. That's a new one.
That's him hobnobbing it. By the way, you'll be his new pal, Charlie, within about. He'll mention you on Twitter and then he'll look to follow you. It's coming.
No, we'll be able to get a game once the weather changes. We'll hopefully stays good. We'll get a game up there. I've got a contact up there. I'll be able to get us on a few of the courses, so it's good to get up there. I've never played it myself, but it's going to be special.
What a signing, Peter.
Oh, he's magnificent. Honestly, you push the boat out, you get quality. It's as simple as that. And of course, I don't know if you notice, Tam, quite a lot of the clobber he's wearing is good quality as well. It's not this freebie that you've got with a sponsor's name on the left-hand part of your chest. This is top drawer. Adam's wearing at the moment. Anyway, apart from anything else, Dundee United Celtic. What have I got for that? I have decided to go Dundee United 1, Celtic 3. Tam.
I think Dundee United have been really, really tight. I don't think they've got goals in them. I think Celtic will win it 1-0. I think it'll be narrow. I think they'll go up there and win 1-0. I don't see Dundee United scoring unless Shankland plays. I think he's been out injured, but I'll go Celtic narrowly 1-0.
Yeah, Lance Shankland's got an outside chance of being involved. Charlie, what are you going for?
Yeah, I think Celtic will do the job, and I think 2-0 I'll go for. Tough place always to go at Tannadice, but I think Celtic's quality in the end will get them through.
Yeah, Roughie?
Yep, I'm going to agree with Charlie. I'm going to go for 2-0 as well. I think it'll be difficult early on. I think Dundee United will be very difficult to break down, but I think eventually when Celtic do, it'll run out 2-0.
Yep. St Andrews is a fantastic place to go. Great wee nights there, says Chris McLaughlin. And I think he actually had suggested somewhere to go that wasn't maybe hefty on the pockets. I'll try and look for that. Cheap drinks in a club called the Bop. Oh, there you are. That's it. Tam, I've nailed it. We're now going to the Bop. Obviously we'll look slightly over age for the St Andrews crowd, but I'm willing to take the chance. He went to uni there, says Chris. Good to have you telling us about that. Lots of people saying they love St Andrews. A good place for a weekend away. Aberdeen against Livingston after the Thursday, straight back into it to try and catch up with these matches. I suppose now I'm looking at Lars Lokoch and the other name is Julian Serrano. That's the two signings that Gary Holt's been able to bring in. He wants to try and get Anthony Stokes as well, Tam, which, 32, I still think he's got something to offer. I just think, for me, he's wasted all the talent he had.
Yeah, I played with Anthony when he was 18 years old. Peter, he came up to Falkirk on loan. Don't you remember his first season in Scottish football? And he scored 18 goals in 15 games, and I watched him all for the bench. He scored 3 hat-tricks in 3 weeks. He was absolutely flying. He got his big money, moved to Sunderland for £2 million. I think he's wasted his talent. I think he's played with some big clubs, obviously done well for Celtic, but he should have 50, 60 caps for Ireland and played in the Premier League in England. The ability he's got. But he's still had a decent career. 32, get him in for a year, 6 months, keep him hungry. He maybe do a job for you. But he's certainly got the ability. But I'd keep him hungry, maybe a wee 6-month deal. If he does better, then you give him a bigger contract or more money. But he'd certainly be a good signing for Livingston, I think.
Yeah, Jim's just posted a message saying he saw Tam McManus sitting on a bench in St Andrews for ages because he was too tight to get up and buy a pint in the place. So there you are, you've been spotted. Yeah, I mean, Charlie, Anthony Stokes for me has got a good bit of ability. Off the field antics as well, I think, have derailed him down through the years. But there's no doubt he's got something to offer. I think he'd be a good signing for Livy if they could attract him back into Scotland.
He would be. I think it's one of them where Gary Holt has to sit him down and look in his eyes and see if he's still got the hunger and the desire to play at the top level, and see where his head's at and where he is outside of the game. Because if he's content and he's in a better place than he was 6 months ago, then it's worth the risk because he's got good experience, good pedigree. But if he doesn't have the hunger and the desire, then it's you're chasing a losing battle. And I think you would move on to something else. But they're starting to spend that Lyndon Dykes money quite early, and they're making a couple of signings today. So it'll be a big loss for him. But no, he's done a terrific job there.
Yeah, Paul Clementi says it's the attitude of Stokesy, sadly. That comment coming up on YouTube. Thanks to Paul for that mention. Of course, if you are on YouTube, you can hit the subscribe button. Give us your thoughts as well on Stokes for Livy and your favourite team and what you think about the latest speculation on transfers in and out. There's a Lanarkshire derby to look forward to. And Motherwell, like Aberdeen, have got next week, we'll focus on their Europa League opponents. Runavik, I don't think, from the Faroe Islands will cause Aberdeen too many problems. Motherwell have got Glentoran, but first of all they'll get Hamilton Accies, and the manager Stephen Robinson said it's a huge week ahead for the Fir Park outfit.
It's a good 8 days. That's what you're in football for. Derby game, it's going to be a tough game. Anytime you play Hamilton, nothing's easy. They don't give you anything. You've got to earn the right to play football, which we will do. And then you've got the Thursday European game to look forward to. So a week we're very much looking forward to.
Yeah, he's got his players battling for him again, Charlie. I was dying to ask you guys this, and Charlie, you'll be able to tell us from down south as well. Stephen Robinson was quite critical of his players, and he the first time at the start of the season, I sensed from him he was ready to actually go crazy at them. Then in week 2, I think he actually maybe read the riot act to them. Can the 21st century player still take a manager who absolutely bollocks his team for a poor performance?
I think sometimes you've just got to take it on the chin. We keep talking about 21st century, that if your manager wants to have a go, he has a go. You always get 1 or 2 players that will want to have a chat back. But when your manager's reading the riot act, you just sit there and you take it, and then you discuss it again on the Monday. And I think he was right. The performances, the whole build-up of what they've done in the pre-season and what he wanted to do, bringing in Hasty and Turnbull coming back from that injury. It just imploded in the first couple of weeks, didn't it, with the results? And hopefully now that they're starting to get a bit of momentum, I think he was very unhappy at Hasty. That's what I was hearing, that he had a right go at him, that some people's that have been at bigger clubs and coming back, that was obviously a dig at him. And hopefully he changes his attitude and he gets his head down and knuckles away. Because Motherwell's done brilliant over the last few years. He's done a great job there, and it's you've got some good young players coming through.
Yeah, what about when you were younger, Charlie? Is there a time when you were sitting in the dressing room and you had your head down because the manager was giving somebody absolute pelters?
Many times. The big thing for me is that if a manager, it actually spurs me on if a manager has a go at me. I don't answer back. I'll sit there, I take it on board. It's, he's got the given right to read the riot act. But yeah, I remember one time Tommy McLean, he come in one day and I was playing for the under-18s, and he went to me, "Son, if you were chocolate, you'd eat yourself." And I was like, "Oh, okay then," and he just come for me big time. So it was, it was a learning curve, and that's part and parcel of the game. When the manager comes in, I think it's a respect thing that you have to just sit there sometimes and just take it and move on.
Yeah, well, from one chocolate to another. Tam, tell us your dressing room experiences.
I had too many rollicking, Steve, and go through. I was trying to think of the biggest one I've had. Alec McLeish gave me a couple at Hibs. But probably the biggest one I got was off Donald Park, youth coach when I was at Hibs. And Parky was great coach, but don't get in the wrong side of him, fearsome. You know, I had played, I was in and about the first team at Hibs, and we played in the BP Cup under 18s. And I dropped back down from the first team into the under 18s, and I was a wee bit big time Charlie and went out and, you know, never put the effort that Parky was wanting into the game. And I actually scored 2 goals. We beat Kilmarnock 3-1. And I came off the park thinking, you know, I've got away with it here. I've had a stinker and I've scored 2 goals. No, Parky came in and he absolutely roasted me for about 10 minutes in front of everybody. You know, it's half as good as you think you are. You know, if you keep your attitudes like that, you'll be out the door, and rollicked me, even though I'd scored 2 goals. So you've got to take it, as Charlie said, you've got to take it in the chin and go out in the next game, or if it's half time, go out and prove the manager wrong. That's why the manager does it. You know, he wants a reaction from you. And if he gets that, then he'll be happy. But don't answer back. You know, I've seen a few boys answering back, and that's not a pretty sight, particularly with guys like Alec McLeish.
Yeah, I mean, you see how your whole career unfolded. What a shrewd character Donald Park was.
Yeah, be spot on early.
He nailed you, Tam. Roughie, there's absolutely no point in coming to you on this, because you're Mr. Softy. I don't even think I can remember. I don't even think your teachers can remember you fighting at school.
No, but I think you know in the first half of the game if you've done something wrong. If you're big enough, you know what's going to happen when you walk through that door in the dressing room, because the manager's waiting on you. I always thought, get in first before he gets in. I used to walk in and go, it's my fault. It's my fault. Sorry, I've let you down. And there's no comeback for that, because they know they're going to have you, but you've already apologised and you've already said, look, I'm holding my hands up. It was my fault. But at Partick Thistle, I don't know if Charlie was ever at Partick Thistle in the old days when it was a massive big dressing room. I mean, this is huge. And the numbers used to go all the way around the dressing room, 1 to 11. And like 1 to 6 would be in one side of the dressing room and the rest would be in the other side of the dressing room. And see if anybody was getting it in the other side of the dressing room. It was absolutely hilarious. Because you used to, we bet they couldn't see you. But whoever was getting it, everybody behind them were absolutely rolling about in knots, because some of the stuff we Bertie said to people, you wouldn't have got away with it in this modern day. Honestly, you wouldn't. It was so fun. It was hard if you were getting it, but I mean, you just wouldn't have got away with some of the stuff you come away with.
Yeah, I mean, I love the fact of some of the stories that were some of the Man United players were recalling. I thought the best one had to be when Rooney was looking at some of the key players that had been sold by Man United, and he was at that point where he was, you know, the stature of Wayne Rooney, and he chapped Fergie's door, Charlie, to see if he could have a word with him to see what the transfer policy was for Manchester United going forward. And I can just imagine Sir Alex giving it bang right back out the door.
I had one with Craig Levein, Scotland. I was playing at Liverpool at the time, and we played Spain away, and we were getting absolutely hammered. And they had, like you say, Roughie's 95% possession they had, and he come in at half time and he absolutely hammered me. He said, "You think you play for Liverpool? You think you're better than everybody in this dressing room and all that?" And I wasn't a great game, and he just come for me big time. But I just sat there, I took it because of the respect I had for the manager. And but these things happen, and it's part of the game. Do you know what I mean? It's how you learn from that, and you take it on board.
Yeah, it's funny, Peter. I was going to tell you what one of my favourite wee Bertie ones was where, I don't know if you remember a boy, I don't know if Charlie remember a boy called Alec O'Hara. He used to play with Rangers, and he came to Thistle. Alec liked a wee cigarette now and again, and after the game he would come in, and I'm not joking, he would be ashen white, just with the amount of stuff he'd put in the game, and he was always white, and he would be sitting there and he had a right stinker. And we Bertie come in after the game and he shouts to the physio, "Oh, we can get the doctor. This boy's clinically dead." Just looking up.
Absolutely magnificent. Probably a good idea that Charlie didn't actually take on Craig Levein in that dressing room, because I'd have had a tenner on Levein to take him out in one.
A Graham Hogg.
Oh, absolutely. Hoggy, Charlie Adam, same thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, apart from anything else, Motherwell against Accies. I've got this one. I've got Motherwell to win by 2-0. Tam, what are you going for?
Hey, tough one to predict. Hamilton Accies went in there last season and turned them over. Still got off the foot of the table. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw.
Charlie?
Yeah, I've tipped Hamilton to stay up, so I need them to win at some point this season. But I think Motherwell will be too strong. I think Motherwell will be too strong for them. I'm going to go 2-0.
Yeah, Roughie.
Yep, I'm going to hang on with Motherwell. I'm going to go 2-1 in this one. I'm a wee bit wary because I remember that game that Tam mentioned, the 3-1 or whatever it was, when we all thought it was going to be a hammer. So, no, I'm going to stick with home advantage.
Yep, okay. So Motherwell to get the benefit of all of us, apart from Tam, in the Lanarkshire Derby. What about St Mirren against Ross County? We might get to see Christian Dennis, Tam, to see if he can continue to score up in Scotland. This might be just that missing link that Jim Goodwin was talking about.
Yep, he's definitely what they're needing. You know, his goal scoring record in the lower leagues in England is very, very good. He's 30 years old, he's experienced, and a great opportunity for him to come up here and play at the very highest level in Scottish football. So all eyes will be on him. St Mirren fans will be praying that he can produce and get them 10 or 15 goals, because if he can, I think they can push themselves into the top 6, because they're so well organised, don't give much away, and so they'll be looking to see. But I think they'll beat Ross County. I think they'll beat Ross County, and I think they'll beat them 2-1.
Yeah, I can't. This is the one game in the afternoon, Charlie, that I'm struggling to pick it, because Ross County have, they've defied most of us with the way they've started this season. So I'm kind of going to go sit in the fence 1-1.
Yeah, no, Ross County started the season well, and St Mirren as well. I think St Mirren will make this 1-0, and Big Dennis will get the goal, and that'll get him off and running.
Roughie?
I think unfortunately got 2 goals in them just now, so I'm going to go a 1-0 as well, and hope that comes true.
Yeah, absolutely. Look at you desperately trying to get back into the head-to-head. Don't worry, the scores are coming up, Roughie. You've got your 5 points. Stop bleating on about it. Keith Berry says Saints to win 2-1. And lots of people, and Tony Holton just reacting. See if there's a noise anywhere. Everybody reacts to it. Just wondering if Tam's got the builders in there when he heard a big crash. Don't worry about it. If there's any noises in the background, we're all over it. I don't know about you guys, but if you have a look, because we know Charlie lives in Lytham, I don't know about you, Roughie, because it's not too far away from the promenade. If we get a full frame of Charlie at the moment, and you can see Charlie full frame, does anybody get the feeling? Does anybody get the feeling he's in the waltzers? He's on the waltzers.
No,
I don't even have a couch that big with a big giant head. It looks as if he's on the waltzers.
I can turn it around. I'm just sat at a table and a built-in alcove thing in the kitchen. So maybe we should have a little tour one day.
Yeah, well, listen, we'd love that, by the way, but I'd love to actually take you back to so many of the people you went to school with up in Dundee who have said,
"Oh no,
what's a built-in alcove?"
He's changed.
Brilliant. Oh, brilliant, Charlie. Top man.
That's what happens when you have kids. You need somebody to eat your breakfast and your dinner.
Yeah, absolutely. We're with you on that one. Okay, St Mirren Ross County, tough one to call. Lots of people on there. Ian Noble, Dougie Liddle, John Syme, lots of people giving us their thoughts on the games as well. Thanks to so many of you who post positive messages about your team and about some of the issues that we've been talking about, to be perfectly honest with you, because Rangers, big dilemma over the weekend. Will they be able to bounce back after that frustrating draw against Livingston? And Celtic up there at Tannadice, is this a banana skin? Can Mickey Mellon's Dundee United come up with the goods and provide us with a little twist in the title race again? Give us your thoughts on it. That's what it's about. It's about opinions on here. And as I mentioned, next week we're going to be announcing some great prizes and competitions that you can enter to win. And we've also got something special that you'll be able to take part in over the next 3 weeks, I can tell you. out in Glasgow and Edinburgh. So keep it locked. Down south says County to win 1-0. Interesting. St Johnstone against Hibs. Jack Ross's side with a draw against Motherwell. I just wonder, Roughie, Scott Allen can't get his place in that side. It's a kind of a Gogic Newell combination in the middle of the park at times at the moment. Stevie Mallin's coming back, and I think he'll struggle to get into the way Jack Ross has set his team out at the moment.
Yeah, it's a different aspect to how he wants his team to play, because I think we all remember that the main force in that really, really good Hibs team was obviously McGeoch and Mallon and Scott Allen. Players for what he's playing now in midfield. You know, he might feel as if he needs to win the battle first, you know, before he throws them on, and I think that was evident last week. I don't think there was much skill on board, you know. I think they were just sort of grind it out. But when Scott Allen came on, he had a couple of wee passes that sort of lit up the game a wee bit. But he just wants a really strong midfield. He wants to win the battle in there and see what it takes him.
Charlie, I'm a big Scott Allen fan. I was critical of him in the choices that he made and then the appearances that he was able to rack up. Not many, may I add, over a long period of time. But he's at Hibs. He can pick a pass as a midfielder. There are midfielders who can make a career out of playing a square ball. But he likes to play forward passes. It's his immediate thought. That's the type of midfielder I like.
Yeah, I'm the same. I like somebody that is looking to play forward all the time and penetrate. He's a match winner. He can get nothing. And Jack's obviously looking to try and consolidate first and build in the game that way. It's maybe he's got other issues as well, and doesn't feel that Scott Allen deserves to be playing at the moment. But time will change. He'll get his opportunities, but when he does come off the bench, he needs to produce. He needs to set up a goal or score a goal and then get his sell in the team and then get a run of games to show his quality. But he is that little bit of difference that Hibs have got. He can see a pass, he can score a goal. So I think once they get up and running more, then he'll definitely get opportunities.
I've been at a game at Easter Road or anywhere. Scott Allen either doesn't last the full 90 or he's on the bench. I mean, it's a strange situation he finds himself in over the last 6 or 7 months.
Yeah, I think it's been difficult for him as well, Peter, with the shielding from COVID. He's got diabetes, Scott, so I don't think he's as fit as he could be. Yeah, I don't think he's as fit as he could be. Listen, I've been at all the Hibs games. I don't think he's 100% up to speed yet, to be honest, and coming on for 20 minutes at the end of the game probably suits him just now. If Hibs play 4-4-2, Scott won't play. He won't play him in the middle in a 2. I think Hibs will possibly change to 3-5-2 on Sunday, and he might find himself back in the team because they got murdered in the middle of the park against Motherwell last week. Motherwell's 3 in there. O'Hara, Turnbull and Campbell murdered Newell and Gogic. They ran over the top of him. So I think St Johnstone play 3 in the middle as well. So I think Hibs will go to 3 in the middle. I think you might see Scott Allen back in. But as I said, I just think it's been difficult because of the COVID and he's been shielding. And I don't think he's 100% fit yet.
Yeah, Dan O'Neill says, is Scott Allen regarded as a luxury player? Surely not. I tell you, he's some luxury to have. I think he's a really good player, a talented boy, and he's one of those players, Charlie. I mean, whereas I always look when somebody says to me, Charlie Adam, I always think that you would look up and if you were going for that diagonal, you would always look to go long, but it was a long pass to someone on the opposite side. Scott's one of those guys, he seems to play those lovely balls where he gives somebody the eyes and then he plays the ball in behind the left back in the centre half or the right back in the centre half and splits the defence.
Yeah, listen, he's one that likes to play on a half turn, and if you can get him in between that defence and that midfield, the amount of opportunity he can to penetrate between the centre backs, and the thing for that is you need people that want to run in behind and slip them in. So he's got that bit of magic. He can win you a game with that. But like you say, Tam said, I never knew that other situation of the diabetes. So that could obviously be playing on Jack's mind as well. And he's probably missed days here and there pre-season. And like I say, probably not up to speed. So when he does get up to speed, he's definitely an asset for Hibs.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what Charlie's saying there. You know, and we've been to a couple of Hibs game, and Charlie's just said it there. The now I've been at games where Scott Allen's made that pass, Charlie, and the people forward are nowhere near it. They don't read it. You know, they can't see it coming. You know, like the two strikers, and that's why it falls flat on his face. He's just that wee bit ahead of whoever he's playing with. But if the guys in front of him obviously can read it, as you said there, it'd be an absolute bonus for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks to everyone for giving us their predictions on it. Of course, we've got one guy on Facebook, Andrew Breslin, who's actually just put 42 different posts, all spelling the word Hibbies. So well done to you, Andrew, for getting your one GCSE through the post. That's absolutely magnificent, by the way. It's always good when Hibbies start showing off that they can spell. Now, Neil Gray says, Peter, I'm sad that you haven't mentioned the Champions League game. Well, Neil, calm your jets. It's coming, to be perfectly honest with you, because St Johnstone against Hibs. Quick prediction. Roughie, what are you going for? I've got 1-1.
I'm going to go 1-1 as well. Yep, I can't split them at all. One each.
Yep, Charlie?
No. Boring, no.
And of course, the reason why I decided to go Roughie then Charlie is because, you know, I have to say it. Here's the flag waver. How much are Hibs going to win by today? Hey, come on, Tam. Wave your Hibs flag.
I think I'm going to go for Hibs 4-0. I think they'll turn them over royally. No,
What?
I don't. I'm only kidding. I think Hibs will win. I think Hibs will win the game 1-0. I've yet to concede a goal from open play.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's on Sky as well, isn't it? Which is why.
We're all expecting another thriller.
Which is why Charlie suggested 0-0 to me, to be honest with you. Anyway, here's the predictor. This is how it's looking at the moment. The loser takes everybody out for a top drawer meal with the best bottle of champers. Oh, Roughie, it is getting tight. You know, Tam was racing out there. He's one of those guys, Roughie, who runs away at the front of the marathon and creates a space, gets a wee bit fat-headed, and then slowly but surely we just drag him in, Roughie. It's going to be fantastic when the point... Oh, absolutely. And of course, with Charlie living down south, he likes a right good bottle of red wine. So what a... Hey, you are going to be skint, Tam, when you eventually have to take us all out for a meal.
Peter, we never did an Aberdeen prediction.
From?
How many COVID tests are we going to have this week?
Scores.
Okay. Sorry to not do Aberdeen. My apologies. No. Aberdeen Dons against Livingston. I've got Aberdeen 1, Livingston 0. Tam?
Aberdeen 2, Livingston 1.
Okay, Chaz?
Aberdeen will win this 2-0 comfortable.
Yeah, Roughie?
Yeah, I'm Aberdeen 2-0 as well. 2-0 Aberdeen.
Okay. Yeah,
why is he just copying you, Peter?
Yeah, I know. Listen, by the way, see it.
No, he's 2-1. He's 2-1.
Unless you get it all written down,
2-1.
sometimes he can be quite sneaky on this. So, nevertheless, listen, Jonesy says, any chance of Charlie talking up the Scottish game rather than slating it every chance he gets? Well, to be fair, it's about opinions. We have to get opinions on certain games. There are elements of it that I always try and tell people. Try and listen in context to the whole conversation.
Change your prediction to 3 each, Charlie.
Yeah. Charlie, 3 each.
Oh, listen, I'm trying.
Go for 3 each.
I want the Scottish game to do well. I want to try and promote it as well as I can. But the games that I've seen so far this season, I think the quality of the teams have been very, very poor, and it's not. You know, we've discussed it many times. I just think that, you know, people kind of just control the ball and pass it forward at times, and that's tough to watch.
Oh, listen, you're absolutely right. I mean, at one point, I thought Prestwick was going to actually have to put a flight path for the ball against Aberdeen and St Johnstone. It was dire. There was about 32 headers at one point, Roughie. One of the things I would say is we're going to give you an honest opinion on games. If there's great play, if there's a great individual player, we'll call it. I mean, it depends on what way you want your football. If you want an honest opinion on the games and, of course, a wee bit of banter between the people who are commenting as well, and that's the joy of it, then join us by all means. This is indeed the show for you. If you want to get your opinion across, we will take it happily.
You've not said that, Peter.
I know. I've avoided it. No, I've changed it. Charlie's not been privy to this, but basically, when we started at the start of the lockdown with this live situation where people can comment on Facebook and people can comment on YouTube, obviously on Facebook it's a little more difficult to become moronic with your behaviour because your name is there and people can trace you. On YouTube, some of our feed leaves a lot to be desired because there are a number of unsavoury people who post things. You don't know who they are. They've got no subscribers on their post, but they just post vitriolic nonsense. But to be fair, Tam, I've made a conscious decision not to mention them. I want to try and get as many followers as possible who are football fans, and we're doing that. The figures every night for the show are fantastic, and it's people who actually want to talk about their club and not be poisonous or indeed abusive. I cannot continually keep apologising for some people who are dragged up and the language is abusive and nasty and vicious, and they wouldn't see a team on the park other than their own, and then they go back to some stupid stuff that the west of Scotland is mired in. So I decided, Tam, to take a different approach on it. But the one thing I would say to you, looking at today, this is the show for you if you love your club and you want to talk about football. But coming up as well in the next couple of weeks, Tam, all I'm saying to you is the new PLZ, the Training Talk PLZ, it's there. Charlie hopefully will have one. You'll have one as well, Roughie. We're going to be out in Glasgow and Edinburgh with a big photo shoot. I'm looking forward to it, Tam, to see if you'll put the gear on and you'll start wearing it around Easter Road. You can pick your own colour. I've even got one for Charlie. He can pick his own colour. It's as simple as that. And of course, the good thing about Charlie and you will be a medium. Now, next up, what about we've done the Premier League predicted table, so that's great. Just before we go on to a couple of European things, I would like to say good luck to Glasgow City. They're in the quarterfinals. It would be amazing if they could get past Wolfsburg in Spain. They all went out there in a jet. I mean, hey, no expense spared for Glasgow City. The girls are all out there. I don't know if it was a private jet, but it was a jet nonetheless, Tam. They're out there, hopefully, with Leanne Crichton and all the girls creating a wee bit of history.
Yeah, it'd be great to see them. They follow the women's game, and it's a massive game, quarter-final Champions League, one-off game. They're obviously, Wolfsburg are huge favourites to win the game, but you never know. Go out there and get an early goal, and you can maybe nick a win, but I'm sure the whole of Scotland are supporting them tonight.
Yeah, it'll be fantastic, Roughie, if they could just produce something special, because the one thing about it, there are a number of women who've trailblazed over the years who will always be remembered. Going all the way back to Rose Riley, who left Scotland and ended up winning the World Cup with Italy, which is such a great story when there wasn't really a structure for women's football. But now that it's gaining more and more prominence and people are warming to it, embracing it, and the girls are hopefully going to produce something special. When you think of what Scotland produced with Shelley Kerr and the team, there's got a chance to make a bit of history and write their names into the history books.
Yeah, and it was good that Rose Riley got into the Scotland Hall of Fame before a lot of other players as well, in the Scottish game. Don't let that. Just brush that aside.
Just get that off your shoulder, will you, Duffy?
I think unfortunately for the Glasgow City girls are the same in our football as well. All the best players are now playing abroad, or they're going down to England and playing with Arsenal and Man City. So it's a hard shift for them. They have to. They're getting better year on year. We can see that they're in the quarterfinals. But I think it was Hugh McDonald said, I think this is one game too far. I think this Wolfsburg team are a wee bit special. They're always in the semi-finals. So let's hope they put up a good display and they have a good journey home. And I think it was Mr. Anderson that put on that jet. I think he had something to do with that to help them along.
Yeah, because Brian McNair says, what did you think, Peter? Do you think they were all going to, get crushed into a helicopter and off you go to the game? No, I wasn't suggesting that. I think it's a private jet. I mean, it's a good way to, I don't know about you, Charlie. I mean, usually you're on one of those, big 747s. The team are all hiring a plane to go and play European football, but it's very rarely a private jet. Please tell me, Charlie, you've been in a private jet to go somewhere.
I haven't. I'm fortunate enough that I have been able to do that. But the experiences of when you go to the big clubs and travelling abroad with Rangers and Scotland as well. We have our own plane, but it's the Scottish game, the girls' game is starting to progress. Shelley's obviously done a good job with the national team. Leanne's obviously, with the Glasgow City girls. Erin's done brilliant at Chelsea. So the girls are starting to produce. And then I seen yesterday Julie Fleeting's going to play in the Soccer Aid match, which is huge for the women's game for Scotland. So it's good to see it progressing. And it's going to be a difficult game against Wolfsburg, but like I say, it's a one-off game, and anything can happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, Julie Fleeting, that's going to be great in the Soccer Aid game because there's a few guys are going to be in for a shock when Julie starts sidestepping them, and I hope she fires a couple of them into the back of the net. Great player in her day, and of course, another one of those women who's etched themselves into the female game forever and a day because of her exploits. And lots of people saying, Peter, will there be further PLZ signings on the panel? Of course there will be, Tam, because we've got to continually strengthen this squad and just trounce the opposition, because quite a few of them sometimes copy us in everything that we do, Tam. They're monitoring us at every opportunity.
Yep, it's incredible that, the amount of people we got on, and you see other outlets copying what we've been saying or getting the same guests on after we've broke the exclusive. So we're certainly the trailblazers when it comes to football.
Yep, absolutely. Henrik Larsson and Roughie has joined Barcelona as a coach on a 2-year deal. He played with Ronald Koeman at Feyenoord, and he also had a very successful time at Barcelona. I think he was the man who really set up the 2 goals in that 2006 final against Arsenal that resulted in Barcelona winning the Champions League.
Yeah, well, I think that's a stepping stone for him again. After obviously it's the 2 years, I'm sure he would want to get into management. He had not a large bit of success with the attempts in that, so maybe that's what he needs. He needs to step down and be a coach for a couple of years, and obviously pick up a few things from Koeman and then move on from that. But what a challenge! What a fantastic move, and I'm sure he'll bring a lot to them.
Yeah, absolutely. Good luck to Henrik. Charlie, Adam, it's the Europa League tonight as well. It's Inter against Seville. I'm going to go Inter. Where are you going?
I think Inter are strong favourites, but I don't think you can rule out Sevilla. It's their competition. They've won it a few years, so I would think Inter are strong. Lukaku up front has been phenomenal this season, so I would think them just to edge it 2-0.
Yep. Tam, are you Inter? They're 8-13, 6-5 Seville.
Yeah, I think Inter will win. I think Inter are too strong for them. I'll go for 3-0 Inter Milan.
Yep. Okay. Just before we go, guys, Champions League final, going to get your thoughts on that. Our reporter Gabriel Antoniazzi sets the scene for us.
The Champions League concludes on Sunday night in Lisbon's Estadio da Luz after a tournament like no other, as 5-time winners Bayern Munich meet Paris Saint-Germain, who are looking for their first. Bayern have been the most impressive team on the continent this year, and have come on leaps and bounds since Hansi Flick took over from the sacked Niko Kovac in November, winning 20 matches in a row. Robert Lewandowski and Serge Gnabry have been the 2 stars of the show, with the 2 of them notching 55 and 23 goals each this campaign, including strikes in the 8-2 wins over Barcelona and 3-0 victory over Lyon. Thomas Tuchel's Paris Saint-Germain look set to live up to their name as the perennial underachievers in the quarter-final against Atalanta, but 2 late goals saw them through before Tuesday's demolition of RB Leipzig. With Neymar, Kylian Mbappe and Di Maria all firing, they have the capability to overpower any team in the world, and will hope that a decade of spending can finally see them achieve their aim. For the first time in 22 years, Both finalists qualified as league winners, and with both on for a treble, they're playing for their place in history.
Oh, Bayern Munich for me, Tam.
Yeah, I think so. It certainly won't be 0-0. You know, I think there'll be plenty of goals. I think Bayern will just outscore them, but I think it'll be a shootout, and I'm going to go 4-3 to Bayern Munich.
4-3?
Yeah.
That is magnificent.
A bit early for a drink, Tam.
Well,
5:10.
I just want to say, Tam, if it's 4-3, could you text Charlie, Roughie, and me and just say, "I told you so"? I mean, that's magnificent.
Oh, don't
Charlie, what are you going for?
I think Bayern will edge it 2-1. I think they're going to be too strong, powerful, and you know, they got the main man up front, Lewandowski, and he's 55 goals. It's just phenomenal.
Yep, Roughie. PSG for you, isn't it, Roughie? Go on.
Yeah,
Yes.
All points towards the Germans, but I just think my team will just nick it, but possibly by the odd goal.
Yeah, my team, PSG. Oh,
my team.
Yeah,
we've only spent 100 billion.
I know, just about to say, what a great lesson for everybody. Thanks to so many people. William Webb says Inter will win at 3-2. Paul McRoberts as well. Lots of people who have come on. Terry Ward is in Norway. Great show, lads. Thanks, Terry, for sticking with us. Norway is a good place as well. Roughie, I could live for a couple of weeks in Norway, could you?
If you think a pint's dear at the other place, wait, you go to Norway
take a
and see
wallet.
what a pint is there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've got the reason why I mentioned that, Roughie, is probably it's the only Scandinavian country where you haven't gone out with someone from the Miss World campaign. I don't think you ever went out with Miss Norway, did you?
No, never had the chance.
No.
Or she never had the chance, rather.
How unfortunate for her.
Yeah, absolutely. Miss Norway, if you get a chance, call us and say why you knocked them back in the first place. Anyway, thanks to lots of people who came on and offered their opinion. Enjoy your football this weekend. Of course, we'd love to say go to the match and enjoy it and shout for your team, but we're still waiting on that moment. Test games coming up. Hopefully then, slowly but surely, we'll get back to what we used to think was normal, watching the football. Fingers crossed for that. You can like, share and follow us, and you can also subscribe to our YouTube channel. Charlie, Adam, what does a man like yourself do Saturday and Sunday of this weekend? What will you be doing?
Nothing. Probably just watch the games and football. Little girl has a horse show, which we cannot go to, obviously, through COVID, so hopefully she does well, and we'll have a good Sunday dinner. Yeah,
brilliant. Great stuff. Roughie and I will just be outside your window, just looking in and hoping that you don't finish it. If you just put some out the window for us, that would be fantastic. Thanks to Charlie, thanks to Roughie and Tam McManus, and for myself, Peter Martin. Thanks to you for watching. We'll see you on Monday.
Expect the best used car deals guaranteed. Visit Arnold